We got a lot of Cardinal fans here. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Welcome to the Twin Cities as well. For those of you, we have a lot of baseball fans here, so this is probably not new news to you, but as someone who gets to cover Major League Baseball, what I've always respected about you and what I've always respected about your game is, first of all, Matt Carpenter is a story of perseverance, working his way up, being willing to do whatever it takes for his teams to play, whether it's switching positions, whether it's stepping in when the Cardinals made changes and some players moved on, and stepping right into a great organization and making his mark. And then the other thing is just how the way he comes through in the clutch, and we're going to ask Matt about that. But when men are on the bases, watch out if you're watching a game, because the odds are Matt's going to drive him in. So I want to welcome you today, and we also want to welcome all the folks who are here who took part in the scavenger hunt. So give yourselves a hand for taking part in that. Now, we are here at Nike, and besides the shoes, remember Spike Lee's commercial saying it's got to be the shoes, it's about much more than that for Nike. Nike's an innovator in sports, and in baseball, they're creating products that impact speed to make players faster. One thing I wanted to ask you is, now you're at the hot corner, I'm curious how you use speed, how you incorporate speed into the different facets of the game, whether it's getting on the bases, or whether it's on defense, base running between bases. Can you talk to us about incorporating speed, how important it is, and how you use it?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, the biggest thing for me was, last year moving to second base and playing the middle infield. Speed became an element. That's something that I had to learn. My footwork as an infielder, especially in the middle infield, was something that became very important. So the game of baseball is a game that can be won at any point by just a very small margin, either base running, something in base running, something in getting a quick jump as an infielder, making a play. All these certain things that are important as a baseball player, and I'm not really a base stealing threat by any means. I'm a leadoff hitter, and I usually just get on there and kind of hang out until someone hits me in. But as a defensive guy, you're always trying to get good jumps. It's very important to be light on your feet and quick, and not just to push the Nike deal, but
no, that's why we're at the Nike store.
There's no question for me that if you're looking for a cleat as a baseball player, that's the route to go. I mean, they're light. You feel good in them. You feel like you can move around, and I've used other cleats before, and that's not the case with all of them. So it's a good thing.
I asked you about maybe when you're in a game, but what about the off season when you're training? How you use and spring training, I should say, how speed plays into it, what you work on in terms of speed and reflexes to get you ready for this journey of a 162 game season.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important to train properly in the off season. Like you said, 162 games is a very long year, and it's grinding on your body. But the speed part is a very important thing that we work on. The guy that I use as a strength coach in the off season, we have an element of speed that he's specifically out there. We're out there training. We're running sprints. We're doing things that will help build that first step quickness. As a baseball player, it's not necessarily, how fast you can run like a 40-yard dash, but it's how quick you can go from A to B. I mean, how fast can you, make that first step, and how quickly you can take off. And that's the things that we train, in the off season and try to get better at. And it's all important.
I'm putting you on the spot, but when you think about other players you've seen or you've played with getting around the bases, who maybe they're not going to run a 4.2 40 like at an NFL combine, anyone come to mind when they're on the bases that impresses you, that can really get around there as a smart, efficient, fast base runner?
Well, yeah, definitely. We actually have a guy on our team, Peter Borges, who can fly, and he kind of fits the mold of the guy who's just really fast. And then there's guys, who maybe not aren't the fastest guys. Pujols actually was like this when he was in St. Louis. Is he really? if you timed him, you'd be like, this guy's not very fast. But if you watch him run the bases, he got to where he needed to go. So you know, base running, some guys that aren't really typically fast guys can be good base runners because they take the right angles and they get good jumps, they get good reads, and you know, that's all important.
Well, last year, Matt was 4th in the National League Most Valuable Player voting, but I think you're at the top of the list. When we think about players who come through with runners in scoring position, last year, 388. I just wrote this down now, 324 this season. When they're at the corners, 1st and 3rd, 545 when the runners are at the corners. So whether you're a Cardinals fan or you're watching the opposition play, like I was saying before you came out, watch out when the runner's on base and Matt's up, because the odds are you're going to see something. What can you attribute that to? Because the fact is, you've gained, justifiably so, a reputation driving in people, being a clutch player.
You know, well, I appreciate those stats. Thank you. No, you know, that's a thing that I think goes back to just when you're in those situations, when you come up in a big spot and there's runners out there and you're trying to drive them in. I think there's just a level of focus that you kind of zone in, and you're doing whatever you can to get that guy home. I don't think there's not like I wish I could say there's a special, you know, technique or approach that that makes that happen, but I don't think that's the case. I just think that when you're in those situations, you just kind of zone in and try to focus and have it as good of an at-bat as you can, and that's kind of what I do. I just get in there and try to have a good at-bat, and you know, it ends up working out sometimes.
How much did your determination and drive to succeed, maybe, did that play a role at all? Because Matt, 13th round draft pick, played different positions, as you especially Cardinals fans know. By no means were you a headliner at first when you came in, but you certainly have earned that now. How much did that drive you, the fact that maybe you weren't the 1st round or top 5 pick, but now look at what Matt Carpenter's doing?
You know, that was extremely motivating for me. You know, as a player, when you're sent to your first spring training and nobody knows who you are, and you've got to kind of earn your stripes, so to speak. That was something that, you know, I took. You know, I kind of took. You know, by the wings. I was really motivated to come into this organization, which I still believe is one of the best in baseball, and come in and prove that not only I belong, but I could, you know, be somebody who, you know, ended up helping this club. So, you know, it was something that I worked hard for. I kept, you know, trying to show that you know, I was a guy who could play, and you know, to get to this point, there's a lot of things that got to happen. You got to get lucky. You got to be in the right place at the right time, and obviously you have to work hard and play well. And you know, it all fell into place for me, and you know, it's been a fun ride.
You mentioned the organization, and I'm not just saying this because you're here and Cardinals fans are here, but your franchise is one of the gold standards for baseball, and it's even more people respect the Cardinals when you think about, you know, you're not the #1 market in size, you know, you're not New York, LA, or Chicago, but you guys manage. I can't think of another franchise that could see a player like Albert Pujols move on, and I don't want to say you don't miss him, but you keep going, doing it the Cardinals way. For people here in Minnesota, they're trying to rebuild now, and they're getting there. Talk about the Twins way of doing things. There's definitely a Cardinals way of doing things. I was curious if you could talk about that, and also what it's like for you to be here with other teammates at the All-Star game.
Yeah, you know, it's a special thing. You know, you really can't put into words, you know, what it's like to put on the Birds on the Bat uniform, to be part of this storied franchise. And I honestly think, you hear all the time, we talk about the Cardinal way, and you know, that's a saying that is instilled to you when you first sign as a minor leaguer with the St. Louis Cardinals. They talk about the Cardinal way, and there's an expectation of how you're supposed to do things. And you know, I think it just, what it boils down to is the St. Louis Cardinals. They do a really good job of hiring good people. The people who work for the Cardinals and the people who play for the Cardinals are good people who work hard and have an attention to detail, and you know, prepare for whatever it is that we're doing. And, you know, you know, I talk to other guys, and I've been in the minor leagues playing with other players, and they're just, everybody tries to get ready for a game, but the way the St. Louis Cardinals do and the way we've always done is just one step more. You go one step further. The attention to detail and the preparation that goes into every season is bar none, and I think that's what separates them. And as far as being here in Minnesota and having an opportunity to play with some of my teammates and represent the St. Louis Cardinals here at the All-Star Game, it's really an awesome thing, and we're all excited about it.
You were an All-Star last year, the second base.